Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, beautiful, to the Madison Reed Hair Color House Party. This is our 10th time gathering on a Saturday. We are so excited. We are live from our kitchens, from our bathrooms, from all over the US, coming together as a community to color our hair together. Now, I know that for many of you, this may be the first time coloring your hair, and we at Madison Reed are here to tell you, you've got this. There is no reason for anxiety. We are going to walk you through it. We know that you have gone through so much in your life. You have navigated careers, you have raised families. And if you have done all of that, you can absolutely color your own hair. We are doing this because we have gotten so much demand, so many questions about how to color your hair. And we thought that this would be the funnest way to answer all of your questions and to learn from each other. And it's not just fun for us. This has purpose and meaning. For every wonderful face we see out there in our Zoom channel and on our screens, we will be donating $1 to an organization called Color of Change that fights for social justice in America. Now, since the very beginning, Madison Reed has been all about our professional colorists. Approximately 60% of our employees are colorists, and they are the backbone, the heart, and the expertise of this company. And I am just so proud and so happy that 3 of our expert colorists are here today that have not just decades of experience behind the chair coloring women's hair, but more importantly, they have a ton of experience educating women on how to color their hair on their own. I would like to introduce you to our team today of our professional colorists. First up, I'd like to introduce Susan.
Hi, everyone.
Susan, wait for it, has 25 years of experience as a professional colorist, which means that she started coloring her hair when she was 5 years old. And she is, we're just so happy to have her with us today. And the fun fact about Susan is that she is not just a professional colorist, she is the genius behind Madison Reed's over 55 beautiful shades, beautiful formulations. So she's not just a colorist, she's a formulator and truly understands how our formulas work. Next up, I'm happy to introduce you to Krista.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Krista has 10 years of experience as a professional colorist. She works with us in our headquarters on product development. And the fun fact about Krista is that she was one of our very first colorists in Madison Reed's very first hair color bar, our pop-up in Manhattan. And today she works in San Francisco with our headquarters team. And you may have seen her in prior hair color house parties where she was showing you how to cover gray hair on blondes. So welcome, Krista. And finally, the star of the show today, I'd like to introduce you to Siobhan.
Hey, everyone. Happy Saturday.
Siobhan is our star for today. She will be applying balayage highlights to her hair. Siobhan has 17 years of professional coloring experience. And a fun fact about Siobhan is that we call her our colorist. And what does that mean? It means that she travels either virtually or in person, training all of our professional colorists across all of our color bars. We have 22 color bars today, 28 by the end of this year. And she teaches all of our new team members on Madison Reed hair color and how to apply it in color bars.
Hi. Okay. Yay. I'm so excited. Let's do some hair. First thing I want to say is that I'm really excited to now start to see some folks that I have been seeing over the past week. Or a couple of weeks that we've been doing this. So hi, Catherine, I see you over there. We have like our little friends group now going on. So we're going to do some Lightworks balayage highlights, and I'm going to show you how we're going to make it super easy for you. So let's get to the Lightworks kit. Actually, wait, one little detail. When you are going to color your hair, highlight your hair, it's nice to have a little setup. If you've ever watched a cooking show, they call it like mise en place, right? Like have everything just where you need it. For Lightworks, what is makes your life easy is to maybe have like an old towel that you don't care about, put down on your sink so you have something to wipe your hands on and put your contents on. And then I'm wearing this Madison Reed smock. Wear whatever is comfy for you, whatever you have that you don't care about getting maybe lightener or color on. button down so that when you go to wash your hair, you could just take it right off and not go over your head. So that's that on setup. Have a couple clips handy. They don't have to be fancy. Whatever clips you have hanging around is fine. And a comb, something just simple. Okay, so that's your personal setup. So here's your color setup. So this is the Lightworks Balayage kit. And as you can see, there's two numbers, 1 and 2 here. And it comes with this really cool wishbone applicator. This is how your highlights are going to go on. And this is the best and easiest thing to ever happen at home highlight. So I'm going to make this really easy. Today, we're just going to do step 1, because step 1 is where a little bit of technique is involved, painting the highlights on your hair. Step 2, the toner, so easy. You mix it up, put it all over your head, 20 minutes, wash it out, and you're done. So we're not going to demo that. Also, it would take, 90 minutes to wait for me to process and put my toner on. So we'll talk you through the process, but we won't show that process. And then this is a question we always get. Where do I see the results of your color if you're not going to take us through the whole thing? After we get done, we'll get my photos taken. It takes a couple days to get the results posted, but Facebook, Instagram, and then you're also going to be emailed. If you're registered to this event, you're going to get an email follow-up with those pictures in it. So you'll be able to see the after results, even though we're not showing you those live. Sound good? Thumbs up? Okay, beautiful. So let's get right to it. I am going to stick to the technical part of applying this stuff. And Krista and Susan are going to walk you through some of the more Q&A. Now, if you've been to a house party before, you know that we do Q&A pretty right up front. We'll start taking questions and answers. Lightworks has a little bit of technical application to it that I want to make sure you're comfy with before we open up to question and answer. So what we'll do is I'll paint on my first couple sections, talk you through it, let you see how that goes, and then I'm going to turn it over to them and they'll take questions. So step 1 is sectioning your hair. So I wear a center part. If you let your hair go whichever way the wind blows, center part's probably good for you. It'll give you more versatility. If you have a part that's just the part you always wear, part there. That's totally fine. There's no rule here. So the visual cue for this, though, is think about a baseball cap, right? If you're putting a baseball cap on your head, where that would cover, that's what you're going to highlight today. So I'm going to go with my center part. And I'm going to go sort of just by feeling from back here to the top of the ear. Don't worry about being scientific about this. It doesn't have to be perfect. These highlights are meant to go on the top of your head and then kind of fall and cascade down over the crown. So no one's ever going to notice that your section was 1 centimeter off. So don't stress this step. Just kind of get it done. And then here I go with my other half of my baseball cap. Pin. Okay, this is the stuff we're working on. This is the stuff we're not working on. So we're going to pin this out of the way. The reason we're not doing this is because the balayage highlights are meant to give a soft, modern, sun-kissed look that just kind of cascades down the front and face framing. So this stuff in the back, it's going to give you darker, low light reflection.
Siobhan,
okay. Yeah.
Siobhan, can I ask you just to turn around so we can see exactly how much hair you're missing out there? Brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Exactly.
Is it as messy as I think it is?
It looks lovely, darling.
Okay, good. Good. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the lightener. This is what you're mixing for step 1. It looks tiny. I know there's a reflection there from the light, but it looks tiny. But when you mix it up with this, you're going to get a lot more product than you think. So I'm going to just put this whole thing right in here. This is the activator from step 1. And then while I mix, Susan, Krista, will you tell us a little bit more just about the effect we're getting while I'm mixing and shaking?
Oh, yes. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because Lightworks is really the most modern way to highlight your hair. I think that most of us very familiar with the way that highlights normally work. We normally put highlights in. If you go to the salon, it goes right to the roots. You end up with kind of a general overall lightening. And oftentimes you see that kind of stripy effect. This is not that. What this is a type of balayage, which means sweep of color. And what that means is that you can do that on any hair color, whether your hair's colored or not. You can do it on any hair type. And what it will do is give you a really soft, pretty addition to the way that your hair looks right now. And actually, what we're seeing now, Krista, I think is great, isn't it? Because we've got, you're a blonde with Lightworks, I'm a brunette with Lightworks, and Siobhan's a lighter brunette with Lightworks, or will be.
It's like the Goldilocks bears. We have like a little dark, a little light, a little middle. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you step one. So I've kind of got, as Susan said, this sort of lightish brownish. It's a very technical term there, but kind of a light brunette. And what I want to do is make these sections kind of pop and sing a little bit more and add some dimension. So this is great for if you've been using permanent color forever and you're just like, you know, I like it, but it's a little solid. I don't want to be a blonde, but I want something. This is what that something can be. So here I've got my half a baseball cap. You do the front first, okay? So what we're going to do is take a diagonal section back that mimics how your hairline grows. So follow that. I don't have a technical, super measured way of telling you, like, it needs to be a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. About a 1/2 inch is good, but what you need to look for is this. Look for a section that is thick enough that you can pull it down, because you're going to paint product right on top of here and not worry that it's going to fall through any cracks. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for a solid little easel to paint on. Okay. So you see, I've got some existing old blonde grown out highlights there that I've covered, and then some darker stuff here. We're going to break that up. Now, this is mixed with this. You want to be careful because it's a cream clay-based lightener. So make sure you don't have any clumps. I put this face down in a bowl or sink because it might expand and start dripping out of the cap. Don't worry about it. Just put it face down in the sink so that if that happens, it happens neatly. Okay, so here's how you use the tool. I've got my wishbone tool, and I'm putting this on like, sort of like cake frosting, like nice and thick sitting on top of the wishbone tool. And I outline it. I like, as just a little pro tip, I like to leave these little baby edges blank because I use those. Well, I'll show you how I use them. Okay, so here we go. My product is on, my bottle's going face down in my bowl. I take this section, hold it taut. Don't put it on loose because we want, you know, we want it to hold up to the product. And here's what we do. It's in the shape of a V, and that's the shape you want to paint it onto your hair. So I'm going to take my arm number 1 here and get my first arm of my V in, and I'm using no tension, you guys. Like, if you walked up to me and knocked this out of my hand, it would just fall right out. I'm really not pushing on my hair at all. I'm laying it on top of. So there's one arm, and then here's the other arm of my V I'm going to put in. Okay, so I'm just getting my outline in. It's not perfect, it's just my outline. And then you take the tool, flip it on its side where that base is, and then you fill it in there. And so now I'm kind of filling in the V. And now that you've done this, you can go just slightly nice and soft up against the grain of the hair. And I like to use this base part to just kind of like blend this up. What you're looking for is for this to softly, and this is why I keep these little edges dry up here, because I go in with the tip and softly smudge it up so you don't see a line. You don't see where it begins and ends. So it gets softer toward the top, and you see how it kind of looks like a splash of color, thicker on the bottom, more diffused toward the top, because that's what I want the highlight to look like. So take your time with this. Don't feel rushed. once this dries on your hair, it sort of stops working on its own. So you don't have to race against the clock here. Just take your time, be thoughtful about how you're putting it on, give it a check. I'm liking how that looks. I don't want to see a hard line across the top. I want to see that beautiful V shape. And now I'm going to reload my applicator with a little bit more because I want to get these ends. So this time I'm just going to put it right here on the base. And I'm going to make sure that the bottom is really saturated. And I have a very technical term for this. I call it the flippy outy part, because on the very bottoms, go ahead and paint both sides nice and thick, because that's the hair that kind of flips out. Like, you know, around the ends don't just stay laying down, they kind of move around a bit. And I like to see more lightness on both sides of that. Are you guys getting a clear picture of this? Susan, do you see this?
That actually looks amazing. And in fact, the flippy outy part you can see on my hair, where you've got a real concentration of color. The lightness is on the ends in these two areas. That's the flippy outy part. And then the blendy bit is up to here. Through the very roots, just like Siobhan, I don't have any lightness. But through the ends, that's where it's really concentrated. And in between, it's just kind of a blend between the two. So I would say that's probably the most important part of this application, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, off the root, you want your root to stay deeper, particularly if you've got gray and you've got gray coverage color up there. What we want to do is give this sun-kissed, soft dimension, like when you get back from vacation and you've been at the beach. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so here, I want to do one little save you from an anxiety that you might encounter. What would happen if I was using this and I accidentally came up here and got a spot up there, right? Don't panic. You've got this beautiful little cleansing wipe in your kit. Just take your section and brush that off. Get it off there soon so it doesn't start to lighten, but that's it. You just sort of erase it. So you can really sort of troubleshoot and be creative and place it how you want it to go and not worry too much. The other cool thing is when I let this section down, this is a clay-based lightener that's meant to dry where I put it. It's not going to get all over everything else. The next section goes down, this doesn't even touch it. So when we do Lightworks, we work side to side. So you're going to do your next section on the other side of your face. The reason for this is because you want both sides of your face to process for the same amount of time so that your lighter bits around your face both get plenty of time. Okay, so in my hairline, this opens up a little. I'm gonna let it and do this as two parts. So I'll show you one more time. Now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do one more section of me showing you, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Krista and Susan for questions. They're going to get to some of your questions while I quietly hang over here and keep highlighting. So you'll see me, but you'll be able to get to your questions pretty soon too. Okay.
And what is the scent of the product?
Oh, you know what? Lightworks actually smells pretty nice. Most of our color doesn't really have much of a scent at all. Lightworks smells really pleasant. So you don't feel like, oh my gosh, let me open a window, or I can't do this in my bathroom. Or we've heard stories where people will say my pets run out of the room when I color my hair. That's not going to happen because it's ammonia free. So it's really gentle. Okay, so here we go. Arm. So you see, I'm playing off the shape of the tool, right? Arm. Turn it around, base and fill it in and work up the hair. And where my hair is finer, these ends, that's where I want that double saturation anyway. So I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna just, see, it's on both sides here. And then as you go up the hair strand, it's nice and dry. And that's what the clay-based lightener does. So that old icky towel that you have by you, give your wishbone applicator a little wipe so that you can have sort of a clean brush. And now just start working it up the way that you want it to go. And if you have, you know, this V thing, this is really because balayage technique is meant to give you that V shape. So we gave you a tool that looks like that to be helpful. if you want to grab a little piece right here and just have one little strip and then a V and then one little strip, you do you. You can totally play with this and be creative. You're not, you place it how you want to on your head. The V is just to help give us that splashed highlight look. So nice and dry there. Okay. And thick on both sides. Nothing is moving around. That looks pretty good. Boop. Okay. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to work side to side. I'm going to keep doing the technique so you'll be able to see me. But because I know you have burning questions, I'll let Susan and Krista get to a couple questions.
Brilliant, Siobhan, thank you. And just one thing that I want to point out before we take a question is that where Siobhan has been working, she's pulling the hair towards her face, but she's kind of keeping it down to the side, aren't you? And that's really, I think, because then you can really see what you're doing. I think there's a temptation to kind of pull it too far over sometimes, and that can make it a little bit tricky.
That is correct. That is, you know, the other thing too, is that pull this hair forward toward my face. I'm giving myself more face framing highlights. I'm not so worried about, you know, trying to get these highlights where they lay. When they move back, it has the most beautiful natural effect when you pull it forward like this. Just make sure nice and taut. You really need to feel that little bit of tension there.
That's perfect. And, you know, I think there's lots of anxiety around this because, you know, we're taught that highlights are really a professional thing. And I love the fact that you showed us how to get over the boo-boo, Siobhan.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's gonna happen, right?
And I really stress, you know, this can't take hours and hours, right? Because the lightener starts working. But just, I think what happens when people are learning something new is they get really concerned about doing it really fast. And that's what I think, you know, if you just kind of go a little slower, look at your section a couple times, make sure it's perfect. So look, there's a little one right there that I can take off. Just a little splash of lightener I don't need there. You're not going to not have a boo-boo. You're highlighting your own hair. It's, you know, it can be tricky. So just take your time and use your cleansing wipe, and there you go.
Great. I'm going to make sure question while Siobhan's still working. And don't forget, guys, raise your hand. If you do have a question, it's that little button that says raise hand. Okay, so Mia, I'm going to ask to unmute you, and then I'm going to have you ask your question.
Hi, this is so helpful. I've done this once, and you're making me feel so much better about the boo-boo and all that. So I'm growing out my gray hair little by little, and I like the balayage effect, and it's working. But what do I do about this above my ear where most of my gray is? Should I just ignore it, or should I put any color? You don't have any, but I do. So should I worry about this part that's really gray, or just, I don't know if I should put color on it or avoid it.
You know, it's really up to you. I think with it's a very kind of forgiving process. So if you'd like to color over it to blend the gray, I think that would be really pretty. If you feel like it's maybe too close to your, you know, your scalp, and you kind of want the darker hair there for the dimension, then maybe use your color when you're coloring your roots next to kind of pull it down a little bit, and then keep the lighter pieces towards the end. So I really feel like you can't go wrong. It's kind of a personal choice, but yeah.
Okay, good. I just didn't know if there was a hard and fast rule to not think of it.
No, not at all. That's the best part about this. It's so creative, and the placement is creative.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I add to that?
Go ahead, Siobhan.
Can you guys, okay. It brings up a really good point too, which is, well, if I highlight and I have gray and I need to do roots, how do I work that out? Which I know wasn't your exact question, but I think probably loops other people in. If you've got a root maintenance and you want to add highlights, I would do your roots, your gray coverage first. And then maybe the next day or right after that, if you've got the time, then do the highlights, so that you're not trying to keep your, you know, root color on and get the highlights in one shot. It's just easier to do root first, then highlight.
I think that's a brilliant point. I think we've got time for another question. I think, Catherine, can we ask to unmute you? I can see that you've been waiting for a little while, my darling. So
Yes, I usually use half of my product. So I draw a little line on the tubes and on the little bottle. And then I use half in a bowl and a brush. And I also have bangs, so I need to know how to do it on my bangs. But I was wanting to put the brush from the bowl onto the V. Is that how I would do it? I guess so. And how would I do it with my bangs? Would I hold, like, part it in the middle, and then, like, I can't really see my picture.
That's a sneaky double question you've got in there, Catherine. That's a sneaky double question you've got in there, but they're two So let's answer them both. Great questions, thank you. So if you're going to be mixing half of the lightening cream, use half of your developer, pop that into a bowl, and then use your brush to put that onto the V-shaped applicator. What you'll notice Siobhan doing was that she put most of the product in the V bit here, and then a little bit up each side, but left out those two little bits on the end. That's a really great pro tip, because that's going to make it really easy for you to kind of manipulate where the hair's going.
So I would just do it here, a V here like that, and then at the base I would fill it in.
Yeah, on your fringe, this is how I would approach that. And, you know, Krista and Siobhan, feel free to jump in. I know that some of you do have fringes, so, you know, hopefully this will help. What you want to try and create here is a darker root and a lighter end. So the first thing is, don't get too over enthusiastic, my love, with the lightener. Okay, you want the ends, you don't want the roots. And it can be, and particularly when your hair's a little bit on the fine side, it can be a bit much. So less is more. That's the first tip. Secondly, I would try, if you like, to just really do the very top or very surface of your fringe, of your bangs. I sometimes feel like I need subtitles, because you want the underneath to have a bit more depth. And make sure that you start at the end is what I would do, and then kind of work up. So the end's where you want the concentration of color, and then really just kind of gently brush on to the little bit. Exactly that motion, what you're doing right there, Catherine. And I think you should put it together.
I love it. So mainly the ends start and then brush up on the edges.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Exactly. And less is more. Don't be too enthusiastic.
Thank you so much. I love these parties. You guys are awesome.
We love seeing you. I love looking forward to familiar faces now.
Y'all are the best. Thank you.
The other thing that I want to share with you all is that the stuff that comes out of the bottle into the bowl, you know, especially with bangs or fringe, feel free to just dip your fingertip in there if you want. And let your inner child out and do a little finger painting. Like if you have you want a little splash of color right here by your eye, you know, pretend this is bangs, then I would just go in and just touch up those two couple, you know, little hairs that you have there. And because it could be a little awkward to try to get this thing into such a small area, like your fringe in front of your forehead, don't dye your eyebrows, that whole thing. So just tap a little bit of product and use your fingertip for little spaces like that. That's absolutely allowed. We won't tell anybody that you didn't use the wishbone the whole time.
All right, I'm going to take the next question. Barbie, I'm going to ask to unmute you and you can go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, Barbie's still muted.
Oh, let's see.
Okay,
good? There you go. Hi.
I asked a question last time. I put 7N on. Should I put it on my whole head and then I want to try the highlights? Because see how light it is now? It's not like that when I first do it. It's more this color.
Yeah.
So I've just been putting it on my roots, and then at the end, I put it through. And I also ordered the gloss. So I don't know what to do now, because I saw this and I said, should I try that? So this kind of washes out. Like you can see it now. So I'm due like next week. So
do you want your ends to be lighter? Do you want to do kind of like what Siobhan's doing, where it kind of will look more sun-kissed through your ends, or do you want to be darker? Yes?
No, that's good. I mean, I've always had my hair highlighted till this.
Yeah. Then I think
these are old highlights, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that because they're already a little bit lighter, they'll get even lighter with the Lightwork. So you probably will not want to put the color everywhere, the 7N everywhere, because then the lightener is just going to have to work through that. And you want to be, have those lighter pieces at the end. So there wouldn't really be a point, but definitely stick to doing, the 7 at the root to keep that depth there, cover the gray. And then kind of like what Siobhan's doing, keep the lighter pieces towards the end with the Lightworks.
So I have a question. When do I do the gloss?
So that could be even like the next week or 2 weeks later, just to kind of refresh the ends. That's a great idea.
Do I do the highlights with the 7N or should I wait?
I personally suggest to my clients to wait. It can be kind of stressful to do everything all at once. Yeah. So even me, I would do my roots one day. The next day I'll go back in and do the Lightworks. Just,
especially because my husband's going to be doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we definitely need photos of that process, please, Barbie.
Okay.
Thank you, Barbie.
Thanks so much.
So can you all see already how my hair is? You can kind of see it lightening a little bit there. So what's happening is I actually had more highlights. And then what happens with me, and maybe some of you can relate to this, I highlight, and then they no longer look like highlights. I start to feel like, well, now I'm just all blonde, right? Like what a highlight is supposed to be in variation. So then I do exactly what Barbie does. I do a light brown and I kind of bring it through, a few minutes to sort of deepen everything. And then I go back in and purposely place the highlights I want to get me out of that too blonde, too solid look. So you can see, because there used to be highlights in there, that this lightener is lifting, like you can see it here. The other thing I want to say to you is this might look like a lot. Like to the eye, it might look like I have really big swatches of white just across these big pieces of hair. But when it washes out and dries, remember that 80% of this hair, like all of that underside, is not getting lightened. So when it dries and really spreads out, it actually looks so natural, so modern and sun-kissed. It's not going to look like I've got these big white V's on my head. So just know that when you're applying your own.
I think that's a super important point, because when it comes to Lightworks and it comes to balayage, what is left out, what you actually don't lighten, is almost in a way more important, because what that does is it gives you that beautiful dimension, which is what makes this look so fresh and so modern. So a little bit like what we were saying before, don't be too enthusiastic, I think, right, Siobhan, with the lightener. Some of you might think, oh, I want to put it right at the roots. Don't be tempted to do that. In fact, what's great and what Siobhan's doing, and it's super visual here, Siobhan, so I just want to point it out. Can you see where she's just highlighting right on that ridge, which is what we call the parietal ridge, technique word, which is where the head has its curve. By doing that, what we're going to see is that beautiful dimension being all the more apparent. And that's the type of result that you can see on my hair. That's obviously finished. And also with Krista's hair, where the ends are lighter, the roots are darker. And it just looks, it's almost like the way your children's hair lightens in the sun. Because naturally the hair should be darker at the roots and lighter on the ends. And that's what makes it look so fresh.
The other thing that's such a good point, that's really intentional to not have it come up here on the root, but just keep it shadowed up there. I do want to bring everyone's attention quickly to this back, because we're starting to get toward the back pieces. And we get lots of questions about, how do I do the back? I can't see it, right? If Barbie's husband's not coming over to do your hair, you might be a little bit on your own. What you do with this is you take your longer pieces and you bring them to the front. And this might sound a little odd, but you really just paint where you can reach. What that means is these pieces that are coming around the front, they're not going to get up quite as high, right? You're not going to be able to reach this part back here and get it up as high. That's intended and perfect, because remember that the look we're going for is lighter, brighter around the face, more diffused, more faded out toward the back. So these highlights back here that don't go quite as high is part of the actual intended look. So bring this back through here, just bring it as close as you can see it, and then paint the V to the best of your ability where you can reach, and that's perfect.
So we're going to watch you do that, Siobhan, while I take a question from Yolanda. Can I do that?
Yes, please.
Yolanda, can I hear you, darling? What's your question?
I would love to show you my face, but
no pressure, darling. No pressure.
Just a quick question. If I want to do, I have a hair color that I want to do with the Tuscany brown.
Yes.
And then do I do it's a full on hair color?
Yes.
Do I do the highlights the day after, or do I do them right after I do my hair color?
Great question, Yolanda. It basically depends on how much time you have, my darling, because it's going to be a fairly long and involved job. If you're sitting around at home with not much to do, which lots of us are, go ahead and do it the same day. What I would actually probably recommend is for you to do the permanent hair color first, cover your gray, dry it, enjoy it, and then go ahead and put the highlights in. That will give you a little bit more time to decide where your Lightworks is going to go, and you'll be able to get a really fantastic dimensional result doing it that way around.
Okay, great. That was just what I was wondering. If I do the color, if I was to do the highlights first and the color after, would that affect the highlights as well?
And that's another great question, Yolanda. Shame I can't see you, really.
Okay, I'll show you, but don't get scared.
You can do it that way around.
Here I am.
What you'll find is that, oh, there you are. Hello.
Hi.
What you'll find, Yolanda, if you do the highlights first and then you do your color, what you'll be doing is you'll be toning down those highlights a wee bit. So most of the time when we do Lightworks, we do the permanent color first, and then we'll go ahead and do the Lightworks after that, because most people want their hair to be that bit brighter. And don't forget that what we're not seeing today is step 2, which means when we do Lightworks, we lighten first, and then we put the toning glaze on afterwards. And you have a choice of 5 of those colors when you look at Lightworks to choose the best one that's right for you. So we'll be layering color on anyway. So that's why we tend to recommend permanent color first and Lightworks after. Is it
I believe I got the Tuscany brown full on color, and I believe my highlights are the caramel honey.
That's a perfect mix.
Awesome.
And I just want to let everybody know that if your hair is already colored with permanent color, when we lighten, just like you can see with mine, because actually I'm pretty gray, I use Sondrio brown on my hair, which is at the same level as the one you're using. Because my hair is permanently colored, when I lighten it, the lightener is always warm. It's always goldy, that kind of chestnutty tone. So be aware that when you do that, if your hair is colored, that's what will happen. And that's why we have, just like in a salon, because that's what we like to do is at Madison Reed, we bring the salon home to you. So these are like kind of salon secrets that you've never really understood what's going on because your head's in the basin. Well, actually, that's what's happening. You're having clothing on your hair, and that's how the highlights look beautiful. They look soft, they look diffused, and that's why we provide it like that for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you, and I love your products.
Thank you.
Just to add to that so that everybody knows too, one of the beautiful things about Lightworks is that it's buildable. So if you want to just get a feel for the product, see what it's like to use it, understand it better, you can go in and just do a couple of pieces the first time, or, you know, kind of do what I'm doing with larger pieces. And then if you decide, you know, I could go a little lighter, you can do it again and kind of re-lighten and start to build more lightness and brightness over time. It's a really lovely way to just sort of stick your toe in the water of highlighting, especially if home highlighting is new for you, and it probably is new for most of us. So we are just about done with my application. What I'm doing now is I'm just going through and having a look, making sure everything is where I want it, thick where I want it, thin where I want it, going in with my little detailer wipe. And this is I'm going to process for about 40 minutes. And then here's the next steps. I process 40 minutes. I shampoo out with this. This is the bond building cleansing treatment. This is a strengthener that usually if you go to a salon and have your highlights done, they'll ask you if you want a strengthening treatment and you're charged extra for it. This comes right in your kit. So this is the shampoo that rinses out the lightener. And then after that, you shampoo, towel dry, and then you're going to use your toner. You put this whole tube right in this bottle. It says finish and finish. Shake it all up, put it everywhere. You don't have to worry about missing your roots. It just goes all over. 20 minutes, then you shampoo and conditioner, and that's it, you're done. So the toner is what goes in and helps to soften the look of the highlights and add shine and neutralize warmth and all of that good stuff. So I'll be doing this myself off camera, but that is the step that's included here.
Siobhan, can I ask you to turn around like you did before, darling, so we can see the back? Perfection. I think what's important to note there is that you can see that around Siobhan's face, the highlights are a bit more obvious where she's painted it. And also they're a little bit higher, because what that's doing is, and this is one of the great things about balayage, it's almost like makeup on your hair, because you can actually enhance the skin tone, you can enhance the shape of your face. You're wanting to take the cheekbones as your cue. And then through the back, where there's not the lightener, you can see that it automatically, because of the technique that Siobhan's used, and this is a real salon secret, there's more left out at the crown at the back than there is at the top right next to your face. And that's what hairdressers do. That's why they charge you so much money to have this type of technique. Little did you know that you could get this yourself at home.
All right, guys, I'm going to get one more question here going. Let's see, Colette, I'm going to ask to unmute you.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for this, you guys. It's super helpful. I have a quick question. One of your stylists via email recommended that I use Lightworks to break up the line between my old highlights and my dark hair with gray. And I was just concerned about which color to choose. She said either Sorrento or Lazio, and I was worried the Sorrento will turn my hair brown, and I'd like to stay blonde. So I just had a question about that, since this is my first time about trying to just blend these two sections together in the color.
Right, so yeah, so you're wondering if you should go with Sorrento or Lazio?
Yeah.
Yes, so Sorrento is actually the lightest. So it's kind of like icy, kind of cooler light, or one of our, that Siobhan has there. It's our one of our lightest toners. And then Lazio is just also cool, but just slightly deeper. So if you're looking to blend, I would almost suggest that you might get more of a result from the Lazio, because it will really kind of tie things together.
I think she was worried about it pulling orange and red, because my ends get pretty red.
Yeah, so that they're both cool. So that's good news, because that will kind of help with the warmer tones that you're seeing.
Great. And so I just put that on and it'll kind of blend these two sections together, even though the gray will still be there, huh?
You can always use permanent color for the gray, but yeah, so the toner won't cover gray, but it'll give you a lot of shine and help with the warmth of the hair.
Great. And so the color you think it would be best is Lazio, you said?
I do, I think it'll give you more of that more blend. The Sorrento is pretty light. And while it does a great job of that's what I use on my blonde hair to kind of keep it a little, more neutral, cooler looking. I think the Lazio will help you tie the two together, and it will give you a really nice subtle blend.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. So do we have, I think we have a question from, is it Tizzy? TC, can I unmute you, darling? Are you there, my sweet?
Yes. Say hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. Let me.
Oh, there you are.
Anyway, I don't want to waste your time. Oh, here we go. So what I wanted to ask you about, my husband actually probably used too much of a product, and how would I grow my hair and blend the new color in, so it wouldn't be overwhelming, the blonde. So what I'm trying to say, I don't like it. It's too white.
Okay.
It's blonde for me. I'd like to grow it a little bit, have it darker, but then how could I cover it with a little bit, just grow it and get the color blend in.
Okay, so what you're wanting, I think what you're wanting to do, Tazzy, is to grow out and see some more of your natural color and have more
type
of effect, rather than have an overall color, which is pretty much what you have right now.
Right.
Okay, and this is lots of people want to do this, especially at the moment, because what they're looking for is something that's a bit more low maintenance, and that's probably what I imagine.
That's true. Yeah.
Coming from. So here's the deal. It's not a quick fix. You're going to have to grow your hair and really concentrate on growing your hair, because obviously the more of the natural color that you get, the more change you're going to see. It is possible for you to tone down the existing color while you're doing that. And so in order to do that, really what would be great would be to be able to see your hair a little bit more accurately and have a bit more history. So what I might recommend for you to do in order for us to have a proper consultation, because obviously we don't have a heap of time right now, is to submit your question by email if you can. Tell us a bit more about your hair, what you've used, and what your kind of objective is. We have a huge amount of products that can help you. And in fact, one of the best ones is one of the most recent ones, which is color therapy, which I suspect would probably be a great idea for you to use. So I know this feels like, oh, I want my question answered right now. But in order to answer your question completely, I'd really prefer to do that. Is that going to be okay for you?
Oh, thank you so much. It's great advice. So should I just write to Madison Reed?
Wait till the end of the house party. We're going to give you an email. So hang tight, anybody that we don't get to. And then you can send your questions and they'll actually be answered by Siobhan. She'll be working on that as soon as she shampoos her hair.
That's right. We'll be hanging out while my toner is on.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I think, Mira, you've been waiting a while, my darling. Are you going to be able to talk to us, Mira? Where are you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Ah, yes, fantastic.
Okay. I have a question about curly hair. I have very curly, long hair, and I was wondering how to adjust the process for curly hair. Since, for a natural sun-kissed look, it's sort of the outside of the curl that's getting lightened, not, if I pull it really taut, then everything is getting lightened, the inside and the outside.
Yes, absolutely. And curly hair, and don't forget that with what we've seen today, and obviously with my hair and Krista's and Siobhan's, it is fairly smooth. But if your hair is curly, my advice, and I'm sure that the guys will all pop in if they need to, is that you really use less rather than more. I would even probably recommend with Lightworks that you mix up half of the product and go in one time with that. Once you've used it and used the technique once, you'll have a really good idea, Mira, of how to progressively take it lighter if that's what you want. With curly hair generally, less is more. So take bigger sections, use less product, and keep it well away from your roots.
Okay, but you still pull it tight and use the wand to do it, as opposed to like trying to paint it on, or?
I would still pull your hair taut. The great thing about the texture of this product is that you're not going to get a transfer of product. So I would pull the hair taut and paint it, and then I would leave it to bounce back, if you like. Concentrate on the ends, because as Siobhan was doing, that's really where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, is through the ends of your hair. So if you want to then go back in and paint a little bit more product on there, I would do that. But I would not try and do the curly paint unless your hair is super short.
It's long. It's very long.
Right. Okay. So then I would definitely take your section, pull it taut, paint, keep it taut, and then just let it go and don't touch it again. What do you think, guys? Anything more to add?
So when I do, I totally agree with that. I think that will help keep it more organized. And then one of the things that I'll do too with our curly haired models, Mira, is so you've got your little sections, you've got your panels, and then I'll take maybe up, because you know how your curls separate based on porosity. So it's just kind of like where they're sitting, and you know that pattern better than anyone. What I'll do is have panel, and then pull one or two curls out. And you know, the fingertip thing I was saying, do one little ribbon here and then let it just do its thing. Like ribbon just a few little baby thin pieces out and do both sides of them. And then that way it's kind of like you're getting that cast of highlights, and then one or two or three on each side are actually going up a little bit higher and popping out. Because I think you have to have a little bit of randomness with curly hair in order to do what the curls are doing, right? You kind of have to like take your cue from the curls. So whichever curls naturally sit on top, just ribbon one or two little pieces through, and that'll just take it next level and make it look really like bespoke and kind of custom.
Great. That makes a lot of sense to me. I sort of feel like if I use the wishbone and try to like get it in there, and it's going to get stuck in my hair.
Yeah. I mean, I think the wishbone will help with the lion's share of it, but the ribbons is more just like little tiny baby accents.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Of course. Please send us pictures. I want to see all of this. I'm so excited for everyone.
All right, everyone, we have time for one more question. So Angela, I'm just going to ask to unmute you. All right. Hi, Angela.
Hi, thank you. My question is around color. I love Susan's color and also Siobhan's color. And so if you can tell me the numbers, that would be great. And I know that you guys have N and NG and NGV. So if you can be specific on that, and that's it. And thank you so much for your product. I love it.
Shall I jump in then?
Yes, tell her your color.
Okay, so my color is Sondrio Brown. It's 6.5 NNA. That's through the roots. I've got lots of gray. There it is. So that's brilliant at covering that up. Then I have Lightworks, which is obviously what you've seen Siobhan do. I use the Lazio Cool Toffee as my toning glaze. So that takes some of the warmth out, but it will leave it still with some warmth, as you can see. And then actually my secret weapon is Perler Color Therapy. So Color Therapy is one of the newest products that we have at Madison Reed, and we are super stoked about it, because it's the most amazing thing. You can color your own hair in the shower in 5 minutes. And I love that. So what that does is, and I used it this morning, put a sheer coating of color. You need to use more than you would normally use of conditioner. I like to say about twice as much. Wash your hair, put the Perler through, double the amount of normal conditioner, leave it on those ends for maybe 5 minutes, and then rinse. And that's what gives it this, if I can say, beautiful shine.
Got it.
You can say that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I actually, Angela, I use the exact same, I don't know if I ever really realized this, but Susan and I use the exact same root color. So I also use the 6.5 NNA, and then I do Lightworks, and then I use ongoing in my color therapy mask is Dorado, which is so she uses the one to cool down, and I use the one to add more gold. So, but we're very similar on our maintenance program there.
Wow, got it. And you will tell us the color of the second product that you're going to put on for the Lightworks?
Yes, okay. Yes. So, and it's great that you called that out. I'm so glad you did, because, and this is, pin this in everybody's mind to know this, because this is a color thing that comes up all the time, and I think it can confuse people. Usually, most of the time, I use our toning glaze. It's called Palmy Warm Honey, because I like a champagne-y, goldy, richy blonde. That's my favorite, right? I like a little bit of, not yellow, but warmth, sun-kissed, right? but I've been swimming a little more. My hair is kind of pulling a little bit brassier these days. So this time I'm going to do the Sorrento Cool Vanilla. I'm just cooling it down this time, and then I'll probably go back and use the warm. And just so everyone knows, these are sold separately. So if you ever just need a toner, you just need to get the toning glaze part, you can always do that too, and just switch it up however your hair is feeling. Like when my hair starts to feel too warm, time to bring in the vanilla. If it, you know, and then usually I like that honey tone. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm afraid that's it for the questions, but wait, hang tight because the email is coming up and we look forward to seeing you again. And we thank you so much, those of you who've been before. Heidi.
Well, thank you, everyone. This is the conclusion of our Madison Reed Hair Color House Party, but I have some housekeeping things for all of you that I'd like to tell you about. Our next Hair Color House Party is going to be on Wednesday. That's right, Wednesday, October 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Join us then. We will be talking about fall hair colors. I know many of you like to freshen up your color and perhaps introduce something maybe a little bit darker, a little bit warmer for the fall, and we'll be talking about that. Tell your friends to join us, and the way to find out about future hair color house parties is to just check our Facebook channel or our Instagram channel. They will all be posted there. With that, the team at Madison Reed says goodbye, happy coloring, and thank you so much for joining us. See you soon. Bye-bye.